G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Christian. Now if you want your chainsaw running up to scratch every time, you're going to want to run through a few little maintenance things. Now whether you're a weekend warrior or you use your chainsaw every day, I'm going to run you through a little maintenance checklist to make sure that it is operating smoothly and efficiently as it can. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so first up is checking your chain tension. Now a loose chain on a bar can cause the chain to actually jump off the bar itself, which can then damage the chainsaw and could even cause injury to yourself or other people around you. A tight chain on the bar can actually cause damage to the chain, can cause damage to the bar, and can also cause damage to the motor on your chainsaw. Alright, so how do we check it? So first of all, you just pull up on the chain. Should be a small gap between the drive links and the bar, but not so much that they come out of the groove of the bar itself. The chain should move freely, but not hang loose. Now, how do we fix it? So first of all, to check the tension, you want to loosen the bar nut slightly. Use the tensioning screw to adjust it, whether you need it tighter or looser. And then retighten the bar nuts once you think you've got it to that peak spot, and then just recheck the chain. Now you want to check the tension of the chain before every use, especially with new chains, as they are prone to stretching. Alright, so next we want to check the sharpness of the chain. So a sharp chain will cut through anything with minimal effort, whereas a dull chain is a lot slower, a lot more dangerous, and can cause damage to your chainsaw. So the signs of a dull chain is fine sawdust instead of coarse chips. The chainsaw pulls to one side and you have to push hard to make it cut. So a few little tips on sharpening. So you want to use a round file. That is the correct size for your chain. So look that up. Keep the file at the correct angle, usually around that 25 to 30 degree mark, depending on what chain you are sharpening. And sharpen all teeth evenly. Count your strokes per cutter. So if you do 5 strokes on one tooth, do 5 strokes on the next tooth. Also, don't forget to file the rakers occasionally as well. Now, if your chain is too dull or not sharp enough, not cutting well, then it might be time to just replace it. Number 3 on the list is cleaning the bar and the oil ports on your chainsaw bar. Now, your chain needs oil to run smoothly and to reduce wear. However, cutting can put sawdust into those oil ports, which then starves the chain of oil and proper lubrication. So to clean the bar, what we do is we remove the chain and the bar from the saw, use a small wire or compressed air to clean out the oil holes, scrape out the bar groove with a bar cleaning tool, and flip over the bar occasionally to even out wear. Now, a well-oiled chain prevents overheating and premature wear. Next up, we have the air filter. So your chainsaw engine requires clean air so it can run properly. A clogged air filter can cause poor performance, can cause excessive fuel use. It can also make it a bit harder for the saw to start properly. Alright, so first of all what we want to do, we want to remove the air filter and tap it gently on a hard surface to remove that dust. If it's dirty, wash it in soapy water. Let it dry completely before you put it back in the saw, however. If your air filter is just dusty and tapping it doesn't get rid of that dust, then just grab an air compressor and do it from the inside out. Do not blow air into it, blow air from the inside of the air filter to the out. And if it's too torn, too clogged, or just looks terrible, you're best off just replacing it. Now you want to check the air filter regularly, especially if you are working in dusty conditions. Alright, so next we've got checking the spark plug. So a spark plug in poor condition can cause misfires in the chainsaw, can make it hard to start, and it can make the chainsaw just run really, really rough. Stuff you don't want happening. So the signs of trouble of a spark plug: black, oily or worn electrode, hard starting or erratic idling, so your chainsaw's jumping around a bit while it's just idling. So what do you do if you've got a spark plug that's not quite right? So if it's dirty, just clean it with a wire brush. If it is worn out or corroded, that's when you want to replace it. And always check the gap. It's usually about 0.5 mil. However, a lot of saws are a little bit different. So check your manual. However, a fresh spark plug can solve all of your issues. They're cheap, super easy to install. Alright, so next we want to check a safety feature. So we want to check the chain brake. Now the chain brake, when pushed forward, should activate instantly, whereas when it's pulled back, it should release. So how do we test it? So with the engine off, engage the brake and try to pull the chain. It shouldn't move. Start the saw, rev it slightly and engage the brake. Then it should stop immediately. Now I can't stress this one enough. If your chain brake is not working properly, do not use your saw. It is a critical safety feature of the chainsaw. Alright, so number 7. We want to check the fuel lines and the fuel itself. Now old fuel can gum up the carby and all the fuel lines, which then makes starting the chainsaw quite difficult. So some good fuel practices are always using fresh, properly mixed fuel. Just check your saw's ratio. Some saws are a bit different. Avoid using fuel older than 30 days and check the fuel lines for any leaks and cracks. Alright, now if you're storing your chainsaw for a long time, drain as much fuel as you possibly can out of it and then let it run it until it is dry. This way you won't have any gummed up fuel in the fuel lines or carby when you want to use your chainsaw again. Number 8 on the list is checking your clutch and your sprocket. Now a worn sprocket can wear out your chain pretty quick, which then in turn costs you money down the line and it reduces the efficiency of the chain when it's cutting. So to check for a worn out sprocket, look for deep grooves in the drive sprocket itself. If it is worn out, replace it. So usually every 2 to 3 chains. Now if you do replace your sprocket, then your chain life is going to get extended a lot longer and it also ensures smooth operation. Alright, so next we want to make sure that we are lubricating all the moving parts. A little grease in the right location can go a long way in preventing wear. So ideally we want to apply grease to the sprocket nose of the bar if you are using a sprocket nose chainsaw bar, the clutch drum bearing and any pivot points on the throttle or the choke. So adding grease to all these moving parts prevents overheating and extends their life. And last, at number 10, we have storing your chainsaw correctly. So proper storage ensures that your chainsaw does not get damaged and that it is ready to use when you are ready to use it again. So a few things you want to do when you put your chainsaw into storage is drain the fuel for long-term storage. You don't need to do this if it is just short-term storage and you're using your chainsaw, relatively frequently. Store it in a dry, dust-free place and use a bar cover to protect the chain. You can also use drip trays, chainsaw bags, stuff like that to keep it even more protected. And just remember, a well-stored chainsaw is always ready for action. Alright, and there you have it. 10 tips for chainsaw maintenance. The correct maintenance will save you money down the line, increase the longevity of your saw, and make sure that when you want to use it, it'll start every time with no hassles. Now, if you've got any maintenance tips or tricks or anything like that, chuck them down below. I'd love to read them. Don't forget to like this video, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, all that jazz. I'll catch you on the next one, and happy cutting.